Hello YouTubers, subscribers and friends, welcome to my channel. Well, I've had a lot of people ask me about my life in Indonesia because I've talked about it a lot, and I've even had some people ask me for proof. So I was going through some pictures of some stuff that I was doing in Indonesia, and I decided, well, maybe it's time for me to make a video and let people know what I did in Indonesia. Now, back in 2005, my wife's parents were actually, her father was fighting colon cancer, and he was getting worse. And towards the end of 2005, he was getting really bad. He ended up being in a hospital. And then we found out that her mother was sick, and her mother had liver cancer. So they ended up passing away in very beginning of 2006. And exactly 1 month apart from each other. Father died from colon cancer and her mother died from liver cancer. And what ended up being going there and being a visit to see her sick parents ended up to being over a 3-year period of us living in Indonesia. This is the house I built in Indonesia, and I'll show you pictures of us building it, or actually me building it. Not me building it, but the guys I hired building it, and tell you the story as I go along. Okay, so just to go through the story pretty quick, after my wife's parents passed away, my wife and her brothers, she got 3 brothers, they had to go through the property that her parents had owned and try and sell everything that they have. And in the meantime, my wife inherited some property, and after about 3 months of being there, realized that it was going to take a lot longer than what she thought. And I was tired of living in her brother's house because it smelled really bad. And I told my wife, because I didn't have nothing else to do, I didn't speak the language, I didn't understand the money, and she was busy dealing with the family issues of selling everything and liquidating everything and paying off the hospital bills and stuff like that. So this is a property my wife inherited. It's about, depending on the traffic and time of day, it can be anywhere from 30 minutes from Jakarta to 2.5 hours stuck in traffic. This is in a little town called Jati Bening, and this is the property my wife inherited. So she told me that it's probably going to be a little while that we're going to be in Indonesia. So we are, before we went to Indonesia, we lived in Orlando, Florida. I had a home in Florida, and before we started building this property, I had to fly back to Florida and put our house up for sale, and I sold it within 30 days. And then I came back to Indonesia and decided to build a house here on this property. So I'm going to click through this really quick, step by step. I designed this house, and I didn't speak a word of English. I didn't know the money. I didn't know anything about Indonesia, other than my wife is part Indonesian, part Dutch, and part Chinese. And I'm part Chinese, part Indian, and part Mexican. So my father's Chinese, my mother's Indian and Mexican. So, our kids are confused. So this is the piece of land that was all cleared out. It was all wildly grown, and the guys went in and cleared it out. They didn't speak English, I didn't speak Indonesian, and this is what I did while my wife was busy with her brothers in Jakarta dealing with the liquidation. So this is what I came up with that I wanted to do on my own. So this is the land cleared out. This guy right here, his name is Ali, he's the foreman, and this is my wife standing right there overseeing what's going on and telling Ali, the foreman, to kind of keep an eye out for me, because she's, depending on traffic and time of day, she's anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours away from where I'm at. And I'm a foreigner in a foreign country, don't know anything about the country, don't know the language or nothing. So I do a lot of head bobbing to Ali, and a lot of pointing, and a lot of trying to figure out what I'm doing. So that's my wife there, standing there, getting the foundation. There she is again, the big boss, they call her, the big boss. They call me boss, but they call her the big boss. Here's the foundation. Now, the thing is with these guys, they have no idea what my design is. So there's a lot of calling my wife on the cell phone and telling her to translate what I want here and what there. And I wanted to build my house off the ground because it rained so much in Indonesia that everybody's homes get flooded, got water coming in the house and stuff like that. So I want to build it off the ground so it doesn't get flooded. This is my son. Let's see how old he's 3 years old there. This is his personal babysitter. Her name is Weewin, and she spoke English. Not very good English, but enough to, you know, I used her a lot to help me translate and tell the guys what to do also when my son was around. Because my wife's parents' property is on the other side of this. They had a huge house, about 2 acres of property that they were trying to sell that house to, and all this property here, different sections of property that they've been trying to sell for quite some time because the parents were sick and they needed money to pay for hospital bills and stuff like that. So they were selling property off one at a time. So this is the back over here. This is where the workers lived in that little, it's like a shed with a dirt floor. There's, I mean, spiders and rats and everything. Just, oh man, I couldn't do it. My son. And we had to knock this wall down because it was leaning. We had to rebuild it. And this is where I started learning about the weakness of the brick, the block in Indonesia. And I started getting an idea how I could make a better block, which I actually did when we moved to Manado. This is the front entrance. You come in and go around. It's like different sections. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections of property over here, and there's like 4 over here, and then one little one right here. And these guys that work for me, we knocked that wall down over there. This is somebody's house, which just looks like a barn. I got to know these people really good. It's all dirt floor, and it's the tin roof, and you know, it's a third world country. There we are building the foundations. None of these guys, they've never did this before, ever built a house off the ground. These are people all live in the village that, you know, even though this is a town called Jati Bening, it's nowhere near a big city like Jakarta, and they've come from, you know, 2-3 hours away to do this job, and they're all related. They're uncles and nephews and stuff like that, so they all work at the same job at the same time. Okay, let's go to the next one. There it is. All I have is a piece of paper. There's no blueprints in Indonesia. You don't need blueprints or permits to build anything. And because I noticed that these blocks on the left here, now they're wet. You can see wet there. They absorb a lot of water and they leak. Water comes into the house. So I decided to go with red brick and steel because there's a lot of termites, a lot of rats, and I wanted my house dry. These townhouses here in the background, they were trying to sell this one on the right for a couple of years and they couldn't sell it. And this one my wife's brother inherited. He got that in the will. So, and then on the other side of this is the parents' big house. I mean, it's a huge house, swimming pool, everything. 10-foot block walls around the whole property. And this is my house that I'm building. I didn't have nothing else to do. So I was learning Indonesian too, dealing with these guys who didn't know anything about English and never even seen a foreigner like me from anywhere because they're village people. This is the front looking back. There's going to be different rooms. They never even used drywall or anything like that. Everything that I did to this house is all custom made. And first time that these guys had ever even seen this stuff, this idea that I had, let alone even seeing somebody from another country other than Indonesia or another island from, you know, Indonesia, because there's so many thousands of islands. That's my son. He always wanted to hang out with me. And so the babysitter, you know, they call them servants in Indonesia, but I don't like using the term servants. She lived with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and she was his shadow. Wherever he went, she was right behind him. My son spoke fluently in Indonesian and English, and so does my daughter. And he's wearing my watch. He likes wearing my watch. This is the right side. This is going to be the front entrance over here. This is going to be my master bathroom and bedroom. And that's one more thing that they did in Indonesia. They never, people who own the house never put their bedrooms in the front. So they would confuse this guy's booty. Man, really good guy. He ended up speaking pretty good English by the time I got done working with him. 3/4 years of time that I lived in Indonesia. Bude, that was his name, Bude. There's all this, whatever you call it, I forget the name of it, the facade that they put on top of the bricks, coating of concrete. I waterproofed that before we put that up, and they've never do that, you know, because a lot of people are poor and they can't afford it. This hole right here, I had an idea because it rained so much. I mean, I can't even explain how much it rains, because it's just, unless you witness it yourself, you just can't believe it. You know, every day in the afternoon it rains, so we have to work in the morning really quick. This is about 60 feet deep, and it's not the septic tank, it's a runoff for the water to go into the ground there. Alright, that's my idea. I had that idea. There it is, getting it all covered all the red brick waterproofing and the cement. I had to buy that stuff from Singapore. That's another thing. I only had a 2-month visa, so every 2 months I had to leave the country. I'd go up to Singapore, I'd go to the Philippines, and when I was up there, I'd stay up there a couple of days, you know, just get out of town. And then I would shop around for stuff that I couldn't find in Indonesia, and I would bring it back with me. You know, cigarettes, like real Marlboros or vodka or whatever I felt like bringing back. And I brought back waterproofing to mix into the concrete so nothing would leak. This is one of the septic tanks, 2 septic tanks I had, and that blew their mind because they never put 2 septic tanks in a home in Indonesia, because you know, not a lot of people have a lot of money there. These are custom windows that I had made up. We'll talk about it later more. I'll go through this a little faster. I'm in the townhouse across from my house that her parents owned, and her brother owns one now. He's rents it out. And I'm looking down onto my house. There's one of the septic tanks done. It's all finished. Now I put air conditioning in every single room because, you know, in Indonesia they don't use air conditioning normally in people's homes. They just leave the windows open, or they have cutouts here, you know, so the air can flow through the house and get circulation. And I'm not going to have that in my house. In Indonesia, the rats and mosquitoes and wild animals, forget that, ain't coming in my house. I dealt with that and when I was staying at her brother's house in Jakarta, and that's a whole nother story I'll do a video on, that I wasn't going to have that in my house. And because people like to have courtyards, they like to have outside backyards. There's not too much property. The property is very little. They have very little backyards that are, you know, fenced in with concrete. This is Booty's uncle. His name was so hard, I just called him Mr. Bean. Now, I had these windows custom made. Now, everything in Indonesia, people do things by hand. So these stained glass windows, these things are about 1 inch thick, and this thing is heavy as hell. And this thing was so cheap, it was like, cost me like, I don't know, $50 to make. My wife loves doves, and her mother loves doves. I mean, that was her favorite bird, was a dove, because she's like Christian and all religious and stuff. So I wanted to bring, you know, to remind my wife about her mother, because they have all kinds of paintings of doves, and my wife inherited a huge painting of all doves that she got after her mother passed away. It was her mother's favorite painting. My wife wanted it, so she got that. So I wanted to and bring that into the design of the house. And because this was so cheap, I drew up some more, 2 more windows, even bigger. And I think altogether it cost me like $100 for all 3 windows. But you'll see them. Here's the front of the house. Over here is that hole in the ground here. This is all going to be carport. I'm going to have a covered patio there. I'll go through that really quick. Now, those are the windows I'm talking about. Those things are 5 feet tall, and they were 1 inch thick, and they were heavy, man. This was all handmade. I drew this up, and I gave it to my wife and went to the glass guy, and he was so excited to do something for a foreigner that, man, I don't know if he gave me a good cheap deal on it or what, but these are the doves that I'm going to have in the front entrance of my house. They have a double doors to the front entrance there. And it looks beautiful. Wait till you see it in the house. And these are the guys doing the driveway. I didn't just want a plain driveway concrete because it looked boring to me, because everybody's concrete is just, they don't even do the whole concrete, they do strips. Because, you know, they don't have cars. A lot of people, you know, they're either walking or taking the public transportation, or they ride scooters. You know, if you got a car, you got a little bit of money in Indonesia. Especially if you got more than one. And here they are, and I came up with an idea designed to change the boring look of just concrete. Now this is going to be my living room, and then I have a courtyard there to be outside, and then that's the servant's bedroom back there, and the servant's bathroom, or babysitters. And then I have the ground raised up. eventually I had all underneath there, all concrete. There was a guy crawling around on his belly. He did everything all concrete. It was all concrete slab underneath there. I don't know why they didn't do it before. It was in translation or something. They did it afterwards. And I had lights underneath there, so you flip the switch. You'll see later in the pictures. Turn the switch on, you can see all underneath the house there, because I didn't want anything to, get all muddy or anything like that inside there. More pictures. There's a standing in the front looking out. This is standing in the very back looking towards the front of the house. This is going to be my bathroom here with this stained glass window there. I tried to tell them around, and I don't know why the window looks like it did, but they end up changing and fixing it later. So it was a lot of mistranslations, and my drawings, they didn't understand them, and a lot of frustration on my part, because I couldn't get my point across what I want. So I carried a 5-pound sledgehammer, and it might sound weird now, but it was a big joke by the time the guys got done working for me, that if I saw something I didn't like the way they did it, I just grabbed the hammer, just smashed the hell out of it, because I was so frustrated. And my wife didn't, she didn't want to deal with me calling her 25 times a day. She's just like, you figure it out. You learn how to talk to these people, learn the language. And I did, just out of frustration, I had to learn. This is the servant's bathroom back there. It was very frustrating. I got to know the guys really good. They got to know me really good. This is the front porch here. I mean, later on you're going to see a screened porch. It's not screened. I had a design, and they didn't understand the design, so they did concrete anyways. And then I had to come back and we had to redo it again, And they knew when I was upset. There we go. We got the round, and this is all handmade. This is coconut wood. It's pressure treated, not pressure treated, but waterproof, because it's coconut and it doesn't expand like regular wood. This is leaning on one of the townhomes. There. Standing up, looking down again. There it is, the window in there. Let me see if I can zoom that. There we go. Let's pixelate it. Anyways, it looks beautiful there in the front there. That's the master bathroom there, and it's weird. I mean, her brothers, they didn't even know me. I didn't even know her brothers at all, and so I'm trying to get to know her brothers, her family, and they're dealing with the death of their mother and their father, and I'm dealing with these workers who never seen anyone like me before, or me when I got angry, and my ideas, and they never built a house like this before. They didn't even know anything about drywall till they met me, and I showed them. Because I know how to do drywall, I had to show them how to do the drywall. So I mean, I worked hand by hand with these guys. I was doing a lot of this work myself, and then have them watch me and stuff. And that's the courtyard right there. These are going to be the windows. There's going to be a hallway right here, and these windows going to look out into the courtyard. It's going to be my son's room, my daughter's room. There's going to be a bathroom there, and a servant's bedroom back over in the corner over there. That's inside looking towards my master bathroom. There's going to be a closet here, master bathroom, my bedroom, the master bedroom. Just go through this really quick. I climbed up. They were freaking out because they were told not to let me get hurt, and I climbed up to the very top of the roof where the walls meet, and I was standing up there and looking down, taking pictures, and they were like, boss, boss, boss. The only thing they could say was boss. There's my design. We had to do on top of the concrete they already did, and then I put rocks in there, because when it rains, that concrete is really, really slippery. There's a welder guy. They didn't speak English. By the time everybody got done working with me, everybody spoke English. They didn't speak fluently, but they spoke enough to where we could communicate. This is all steel, angle iron, and it's all welded to the support beams here, because I didn't want any wood for termites, and I didn't want the rats to be able to chew through the wood and get into the ceiling there. So that's all steel. That's the courtyard. This is a funny story. They thought it was a giant window. What it was is a sliding glass door that I wanted there, and they've never seen a sliding glass door. And I was telling my wife, come on, and she's like, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Just tell them your drawings. And she's hard-headed. Indonesian people are hard, especially Indonesian women. And ended up being a funny story. That's standing inside the servant's bathroom looking out. This is to let air flow in when the door's shut. I put plastic doors on there because they're very messy. They take showers. There it is, the window here. That's the design there. I put a wall up here because I'm going to put a carport there. coming along. Now this is the townhome. They were trying to sell this townhome and nobody was buying it. They've been trying to sell it for like 2 years and nobody was buying it because their brothers didn't know me at the time. They didn't know if I knew any. I've been in construction a lot in my earlier years. I knew a lot about construction, and I kept telling my wife, why don't you let your brothers tell me, let me do something with that. I bet I can remodel that and we could sell it. And that went on for a couple months, and she just was too busy with dealing with her family, you know, liquidation thing, that she wasn't really paying attention to me or listening to me. This is going to be the living room right here. She would come up once a week, you know, and check on if I knew what I was doing. And because even my wife didn't know that I could do this stuff. This was outside courtyard. Normally, people in Indonesia, they just leave the concrete. They don't even paint it. They just leave it like that. But when it rains, the concrete absorbs, and you got wet stains everywhere, and it just looks ugly. So I had this waterproof, and then I put ceramic everywhere where there's going to be blank concrete. And then I wanted to put some... because there's so many talented people in Indonesia using their hands and making ceramics and stuff like that. I found 2 doves, and I want to put 2 doves in this area over here. That's the courtyard. My kids, that's my daughter, it's the babysitter, it's a scooter I bought because, you know, I would get bored watching these guys. You know, there'd be days that they're just doing the same thing over and over, and I wanted to go explore, so I would get on this scooter and I would just take off for hours. Nobody knew where I was. I didn't have a cell phone then or anything. I would just go driving. I got lost a lot of times, and I had to figure out how to get back. All I knew how to say was Jadi Bening, and that's where I lived. That's the town I lived in. And people would, I had one guy, you know, I'd follow him. I didn't even know if he was going the right way. But luckily, he was. And there's the welders and workers, and this guy, he's just nodded a lot and laughed a lot. My wife and my son. My wife. There we are. Now these ceramic tiles on top, they're extremely heavy. They're completely flat. A rat cannot pick that tile up because it's too heavy. It's like 5 pounds each tile. And because I had steel, you know, that would hold the weight. So I didn't want no way that, you know, a rat could be able to get under there, because the tiles they use are kind of like Mexican tile. They're curved, and the rats can pick. They're really light, and the rats can pick them up and crawl under and get into the ceiling. So I didn't want that to happen in my house. So I'm very observant, and I saw a lot of things, the way things were built in Indonesia, and I wasn't going to have that in my house. Now this right here, my mother did this one time to her bathroom as a kid. It's rocks right here, and I wanted, because my wife's parents passed away, I wanted to put an impression that my mother made on me as a kid that she did to our house, and I wanted to incorporate that into my house. So all this from floor to ceiling is rock, and I ended up putting like 10 layers of clear coat on top of that, so it shined really, really good when it got wet. You'll see, you know, there's a better close-up. And then I put a little, I did this right here, I made that right there, and so you can put your soap in there. That's the servant's bathroom. And my wife's brothers are like, why is he making this thing so beautiful? This is for the servants. They don't deserve this. And I was like, listen, you work for me, you're gonna get treated nice, and you're gonna be, you know, I don't care how Indonesian people treat servants. I'm gonna treat my servants nice, and that's what I did. I made it really nice and beautiful. And her brother loved it so much, we did that to his house. I remodeled his brother's house. There's the doves right there. Those are handmade. And the guy, he was so happy that a foreigner was interested in his work that he did some other stuff for me. I got these refrigerator things from Singapore. I saw them and bought them and shipped them to Jakarta. This stove too. There we go with the floor. This is the front porch. You go up the steps here. Here's the front porch. To the left is the master bedroom. This is going to be the living room. That's the courtyard back there. He didn't. See that drill he's got? He was screwing those by hand, one at a time. And I left in the morning, came back in the evening, and he was still in the same spot. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I went out and got some drills, and I showed him how to use a drill. And I showed him like 6 screws in a row, really fast. And I gave him the drill, and I walked away. And I came back 2 hours later. He was back doing it by hand. I mean, it freaked him out. And eventually, after about a week, he saw that it's faster with the drill, and now he uses it all the time. It's very good. craftsman there. He did all the woodwork and the doors and locks and stuff like that. I recessed the ceiling there so make it looks a little bit higher than what it was. They never used drywall before. This house is the first time they ever used drywall in their lives. They ever see it, because they just don't build homes like this. They build, you know, 4 walls and a roof and that's it. If you got money, you get a concrete floor, you know. Here it is, all the drywall going up, and they're wondering, why am I going to have all this opening here? This is a weird house. They've never seen anything like this. But they don't understand that I'm going to put up partitions, put walls up, you know, frame it and put drywall. And this, I'm running all the electricity. Now, normally they run all the plumbing in the ceiling, and when they get a leak, they got to ruin the ceiling's ruined. You got to redo the ceiling. So I ran all, because I lifted my house off the ground, I ran all the plumbing under the house. So, you know, we get that done. And people don't normally paint their homes. This is the primer. This guy, I mean, you heard I was in the area. He came by and he was a painter. He wanted to show his work, and he gave me a really good deal. So I painted the whole house right here, and the courtyard and everything. Those are double doors. Those are solid wood doors. Now this is the framing. I showed him what I wanted, and when I left and I came back, this is how they did it. And I'm like, well, this is not America. I don't need permits. It doesn't have to be a certain way, so we'll just leave it like that. So as long as the drywall can hang and screw it into the walls, there we go. This is the bathroom. There's going to be a closet, and this is my master bedroom right here. And you can see I'm putting up the walls. It was the 4-bedroom house. One of my kids' bedroom. That's the courtyard. Now right underneath this is the had to drill for a well, so my well is about 35 feet down, and I put a pump right underneath there. Hold on, let me zoom back. There's a pump right underneath there, and I close this in because I'm going to make this a barbecue thing. And then right here on each side there's big 5-inch pipes for when it rains. It goes and drains in here and goes into this pipe that's here and goes out to the front yard, that hole in the ground, so I don't get any flooding. And then this is also, the floor of this courtyard is tilted so all the water drains, and there's a drain hole over here, it drains into a pipe and goes to the front, so I don't get flooded in here when it rains, because it rains so bad in Indonesia. There's the courtyard. The rain gutters I had to build up here, they were like 8 inches wide because it rained so much, and I had to have big rain gutters to catch all the water. And I had to build a custom screen in the area. Well, there was no screen. It's not screen, it's actually steel mesh, so no rats could come in. There's the servant's bathroom over there to the left. I got some outlets here that I had to buy in Singapore, the waterproof things that cover it, keep the water out so it don't get electrical fire from rain. That's the servant's bedroom over there. It's a funny story about that. There's the front door. This is the master bedroom over here to the left. Recessed ceilings and recessed lights. This is the drywall. I mean, these guys learn quick. I mean, I showed them about 10 times, and then they picked it up really quick. You know, a lot of mistakes were made, but this is the hallway. To the right here's the windows that goes out to the courtyard. My daughter's bedroom is a bathroom, and then my son's bedroom, and then to the right is the servant's bedroom back there. Everything in this house was custom made, one-off. There's not another house like that in Indonesia, I guarantee you. That's for sure. I mean, I had architects, real architects that went to school in America, coming and looking at my house and taking pictures and asking me how I came up with this idea. That's my truck. It was a 1992 Chevy Trooper. In America we call it Suzu Trooper, but that says Chevy on the paperwork, and the motor says Suzu. And that was actually from Japan. It's a right-hand drive. I got pictures I'll show later. But yeah, I love that truck. I can take that thing through the jungle and never get stuck, man. It was a blast to drive. Actually, I missed it. I wanted to bring it to America, but I ended up giving it to my wife's uncle on another island in Manado. There's another story. I lived in Manado. I moved from Jakarta. After a year and a half in Jakarta, I moved to Manado because we went over there to sell some of my wife's parents' property, and it was so beautiful I wanted to stay, so I stayed here. My wife went back to Jakarta, and I stayed in Manado, and I built that house in Manado. I'll make a video of that. There we are, backed up with the double doors. On the right here is where those windows are going to go in, and that I had custom made. And that's a custom kitchen that my wife, there's 2 guys working on it. My wife designed and and we had those hand built. This guy right here, the only thing he knew how to say in English was fruit. Boss, fruit! Because in Indonesia they come around with these little carts, they walking and they're pushing and they yell, fruit, 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 and then you go out there and you buy it. And because I had like 15 guys working for me, I would just buy everything the guy had in the cart because it was so freaking cheap. I could feed a crew of 15 for like $2. And I mean, I bought everything that guy had, man. And he would, you know, instead of him walking around all day hoping he sells, you know, a quarter of what he has, you know, he would just come directly to me first thing in the morning, sell everything, boom, one shot. It took 3 months to build this house, and every day the fruit guy would show up and he would yell, fruit, fruit. Here's a picture of the things in the door there, the custom windows. And that's the only thing he knew how to say was fruit. There we go. It's beautiful. Beautiful entrance. I screened in that porch. Here's the ceiling fans I got from Ace Hardware in Singapore, recessed. This trim here is what you put on the bottom of your floors, on the walls where they meet the floor. I forget what they're called, borders or something like that. I recessed the ceiling in the living room and the kitchen. And that's funny. There's the kitchen there. That guy, Joaquin. My son's room. Here we go. Getting the ceramic. Bedroom, the kitchen. Go through this really quick. That's the master bathroom right there. After we got done building my house, I mean, her family, everybody would come over on the weekends because they felt like they were staying in a hotel because, you know, they never seen anything like this. This bathroom was my kid's bathroom. It's just 100% waterproof. You can pour water anywhere in that bathroom. It would drain in the floor and go out to the front. And you don't have to worry about anything getting warped or ruined or anything because I made sure it was 100% waterproof. There's a recess in the son's bedroom. The custom-made dresser there and the hangers up there because he was so little. We'd hang clothes there and hang clothes up there. And it was funny because, you know, it wasn't a really big room. It was, I mean, it's pretty good size. I don't know, 12 feet by 12 feet. This is the servant's bedroom there. It's a funny story with that servant's bedroom. You know, the servants are village kids, and you know they sleep on dirt floors where they're villages. So now this I brought from Singapore. That's it's not screen. It looks like screen, but it's a mesh thing. And the guys were freaking out because I wouldn't move it. I had around the house, and I would yell screen door. You know, and they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I would move and I'd go screen door. They didn't know where it was even going to go. They thought I was crazy. There it is. I'm moving it around. And whenever somebody would look at it, I would yell screen door, and I'd point at it. You know, there's the water heater because they use bucket showers, cold water in Indonesia. They don't have hot water. I got the hot water heater and I put that in the ceiling right above the servant's bathroom. So if it ever leaked, it would leak water to the servant's bathroom. I wouldn't have any damage. It's my son's room. Oh no, that's my master bedroom. This is a closet. I put these vent things here so when I have an air conditioning that my closet would not get hot, so it'd go into the air conditioning in the bathroom. I had a folding door here that folded open. Instead of taking up space opening the door, it folded. You just slide it that way and it would fold. And I put one on the closet inside the bathroom too. What you can see right there is the closet over there. I put the recessed ceilings in my bedroom too because I don't like flat ceilings. I hate flat ceilings. And I just thought that looked nicer. That's looking out of my master bedroom window to the front porch. Right here, there's the double doors there. That's looking from the front porch to the master bedroom windows, and those windows were tinted. I bought that window dark. It's not tinted, but the glass is tinted. So I mean, it's as dark as you can get because I don't want anybody to be able to see in. This is inside my bathroom. This is a closet door that folds, and you go through that and go to my master bedroom. And this is where the toilet's going to be, right here. I made it look like a hotel on purpose because I wanted my wife to feel like she was in a hotel. Because we stayed a lot in hotels in Indonesia, and it got to be expensive. This is the waterproof flooring. That's like drywall, but it's not drywall. It's cement board, and then that drain, all the water that gets on the floor goes out to the front drain hole, which is like 65 feet deep. And there we go. That's the servant up in that hole up there. There's a hole up there. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. Let me see. That's where the water heater is up there. And there's the 10 coats of clear coat on the wall there. beautiful bathroom. I mean, everybody loved that bathroom. I mean, when the family members come over, they couldn't understand why I would let the servants take a shower in there. But, you know, I wanted they thought this was going to be a big window. So when I left the town, I came back in the afternoon. This door opened out like a window. It would open flush and be flush against this wall. And they were getting ready to do this one and they were figuring out how they were going to open it. I said, no. I had the hardware because I was going to make it a sliding glass door. So I showed them what I wanted. We ended up making this one slide this way. So you could open this and this one would slide like that. And it was just fun. I left it like that. I wasn't going to make them tear it down because it was a lot of work trying to get that door right. And one was a sliding door and one was a glass window. Here we are doing the carport thing here. The first time they did it, I ripped it down with my truck because it was flat. And I was trying to say, what happens when the rain comes and all that rain sits on top of the awning here, and it's just the weight's going to collapse. So you gotta bring the angle down, and they didn't understand what I was saying. And I kept getting so frustrated. So I backed my truck up to it, and they only had they weren't welded in, and I put a rope around it. I yanked it down, and the thing dropped. And I was pissed. And then I went up there with one of them, and I pushed it up. It was really heavy. I pushed it up, and I showed them what angle I wanted, and then they got it. And then after, you know, they figure out what I wanted, I just looked at them and I said, hammer, and I pointed at my truck. So they called my truck the Hammer. And they got my point. They understood me after that, you know. If I don't want it that way, they would fix it. And you know, I look back now and laugh, but at the time my wife was like, that's really, really rude. But I was like, I was so frustrated because I couldn't speak the language. Nobody was understanding me, and you know, we laughed about it now. I mean, this is the first time the guys ever worked with me. They didn't know me, I didn't know them, and you know, they got to know me really, 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 really good, to where I wouldn't even have to do anything anymore. I would just point at it and say hammer, and they would fix it. There's the trim up here. Here's the beautiful. I love that sink, man, because you could put your hands like that, both of them, one from one side, and you wouldn't hit anything because this is all smooth. And I shopped forever to find that thing. And this toilet, this is a bidet toilet. They usually have a hose hanging here, and they squirt their butts with the hose and water because they don't use toilet paper. You know, they use water. And this is, you sit there, and there's a button on the side here. You just push the button, and it automatically washes your backside. There's the setup for the air conditioning right there. That's the custom kitchen. Now that's the only thing I didn't design was the kitchen. What I did design though is this tile right here. It just looked too plain there, so I took a hammer and I smashed the tile, and I handed them this tile, and they put that tile in. And all this is white marble. Expensive stuff, man. Even for Indonesia, that's expensive. And the actually the cutout that they took from here, they were gonna, you know, throw it away, and I said, no, give it to me. I'm gonna put that on my barbecuer. And this is a area where my kids could sit, and they could use this as a table because there's a small area over here for a table. My kids' bathroom almost finished. They got the same toilet here, the bidet to wash their backside because they didn't use toilet paper. My son likes space stuff, so I found this in Singapore, and I brought it home, and it's a little moon guys hanging from like a little space station. I spoil my kids, and you know, when they like something, I try to, incorporate it into my designs. I put a roof here because I was out here raining one day, and I wanted to test the barbecue, and it started raining. I got wet, and my food was getting wet, so I decided I'm going to use it. I had some extra roof tile left over. I want to put it here and keep my barbecue area dry, and I put that piece from the sink cut out right over here. And what I learned, this area right here, all these edges were sharp. I didn't like it because you lean on it, you could cut yourself. I got kids, and I didn't want them smacking their head and getting on the sharp edge here, so I found these little curved tiles, and I had those curved tiles. This, I had to put these gate here because my son crawled under there and turned the lights on. He was all the way under the house, and I had to go get the babysitter and crawl in there and go get him. So I put these gates here, they open up, and you can see it's all concrete, all under the house, all concrete, and I could put a lock there. I could keep him out because whatever I designed, he would find a weakness to it, and I had to fix it. Here it is. This ceramic is curved, so this is flat and then curves. There's no sharp edge right here, so I put it everywhere. And I picked out different colors, and here's that marble right there. And my son was up there jumping up and down. There's another picture. This is an Indonesian toilet. It's a squatter toilet. It's just ceramic with a hole, and they just squat. And that bathroom's waterproof too. It's got a plastic door. And I'm not gonna use a squatter. I'll put regular toilets in my house. I don't know. I just like the way that handle looked. Looking inside the master bedroom. This guy, he never spoke to me the whole time it took to build this house. He would just look at me and smile. And I pointed at that screen behind him and I said, "Screen," and he just looked at me like, this guy must be out of his mind. You know, he never talked to me the first 3 months he worked for me, but by the time, after a little over 3 years, I took them everywhere with me. He spoke really good English, and he thanked me for changing his life. This guy too, he was trying to figure out what the hell am I making here. He was looking, and I just pointed and I say screen, and he looked at me, he just like smile, and he was just nod, and I said screen, and he just nod, and I point at the door, and he didn't know what the hell, man. What is this bule? They call me bule. Bule is like a slang, like if you say gringo or something like that. And I didn't know what bule. They just call me that. And one day I asked my wife, "What is bule?" And she started cracking up laughing. This guy's laughing here because he's like bule, bule gila. Gila means crazy, and crazy, whatever, foreigner, white guy or whatever. I'm not even white. This guy now, he's smiling because I gave him a gift. He does everything. He built all the doors. He cut all the round holes in the doors with a chisel and a hammer. I mean, perfectly round. And he's always happy when he sees me because I tell him I got a gift for him. I gave him 2 drills before. He could never afford a drill, so I just gave him these really good drills. He mastered the drill. I mean, he's really, really smart. He mastered the drill. And then I had this hole saw that I show him. You put this on the drill, and I showed him magic. I said, "I'm going to show you magic." You know, I say that a lot, magic, because I show him tricks and stuff, magic. So he's laughing because he's wondering, what am I going to show him? And I showed him how to use the hole saw, put it in the drill, and then drill a hole. I mean, it would take him 2 days to chisel out by hand, perfect circle. And I could show him within seconds, just get the door, and I gave it to him, and he was so happy, man. That was like giving a caveman fire. A really nice guy. Here, the windows are in here. And carport's coming along. This guy, he's painting. I was trying to describe this paint to him. I had so many pictures from magazines and stuff. What kind of paint? I even forget the name of the paint that I wanted, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was close enough. It was different. I got a sensor light here that comes on when you come at night, comes on and stays on for 10 minutes. I got one here too under the carport. Now here is the screen mesh. Now these individually come out one at a time. I can take them out and squirt them off and clean them, but it's not screen, it's steel mesh. I mean, it looks like screen, but it's not. You could hit that with a hammer and you couldn't put a hole in. The hammer would just bounce right off on it. So I got this, and this could come out separately, and then this screen door made of the same stuff because the mosquitoes are so big there, and I get sick and tired of being bit by mosquitoes, trying to sit out in front of my brother-in-law's front porch, and they would just eat me alive. So I said my house is not going to be open to the environment. It's going to be sealed off, and I got 3 sensor lights here, so you can walk out, it comes on automatically. And I'm going to be able to sit outside because my wife smokes, and sit with my wife and talk to her and not get bit by mosquitoes. And I'm glad I did because there's a lot of mosquitoes there in Indonesia. Here's the same screen mesh up here, and you can see up there. Each one of these come out individually. These are steel beams, angle iron going across here. There's like 8 inches wide rain gutters there. This is the servant's bedroom over there. One of the servants sitting on the stairs there. And close this off so you can't hear the pump. I had 2 pumps. I had the pump that pumps the water up, and then I had a pressurized pump over here. So when this kicked on, this one kicked on. And what it did was it create pressure. Otherwise, when you turn on the shower, the water would just dribble out. So I got this pressure pump here. I mean, the water would shoot out like a freaking power washer. You know, and then I got the water hookups here for washer and dryer, and the waterproof covers on top of there. And you know, it's looking pretty much finished there. Custom made bed. These stores built out. The same people who made our kitchen. My wife wanted a bed. This is a king, like a California king size bed here, and there's a bench to sit on here, and you can sit there and watch TV or lay in bed. And then I had a custom made headboard that you'll see later. When I laid on the bed, I smacked my head, and that's concrete. That's freaking red brick with the concrete covering over it and painted. And man, I smacked my head. I was like, oh my God, I gotta put a headboard here. And here it is, almost done. My son climbed up here. I ended up having to block these off so he couldn't get up there. You know, he's what, 3, 4 years old? I think 3. Here's some more lights. I don't know why I like them lights, but right in this corner is a huge drain hole, so whatever rain goes through the steel mesh goes down and the water drains that way, so you don't have a swimming pool in the courtyard. I mean, it drained really, really good. I learned a lot with drainage in Indonesia. This is my daughter's room. She never slept there. She slept in the bed with us. But this would pull out because family members, my wife's brothers, man, they've spent more time in my house than I did. I was mostly out of the country, you know. But this would pull out, and the nieces and nephews would sleep. Everybody, like 3 or 4 of them on one bed, because they wanted to stay at their aunt's house. And they were trying to get to know me. And I bought these bunk beds for the servants. And I went in the next morning after I put that bed in there, and she was sleeping on the floor, and my son's, she was sleeping underneath it. And they've never seen a bunk bed in their life, and they were scared to sleep on it because they were scared to ruin it. And I had to tell them, no, it's okay, you can sleep on that bed, you know. But you know, it took about a month. And I'd go in there, and they'd be on, you know, she'd be under the bed, and she'd be laying right next to the bed, and they would store their stuff up there, their clothes and whatever, you know. And this was my son's room, because my son, you know, I really wanted her to take care of my son so she could be there if he woke up during the night and needed to change his diaper or something. She could just come right into his room. And that's why that was like that. That's the bathroom, almost finished. There. Here's the kitchen. I wanted to have storage space to put shampoo and stuff there, so I had this indentation made into the wall there, the drywall, and then waterproofed it and everything. This right here is a sensor, so when you go in the bathroom, the light would come on. And the funny story with that is because my wife's brother is so short, he's like 4 foot 5 inches. I mean, he's short. He would go in, the light would come on, but when he sit on the toilet, he takes so long on the toilet that after 3 minutes, the light would go off. If there's no movement in the bathroom, the light would go off. Because my kids and the servants, nobody knows how to turn off lights. So he was in there one day yelling. He had locked the door. He was yelling and screaming. We had all the family and the other, you know, so many, like 50 people in the living room, in the kitchen, in the courtyard, and nobody could hear him screaming. He was scared because it was nighttime. It gets really dark. He was on the crapper. So what, you know, finally his wife went to check on him, and they were talking through the door. And I asked my wife, what are they saying? And said, the light went out. It's dark. And I started laughing because it's a sensor. There's a button you can turn there to turn the light on, or you just walk in and the light comes on automatically and goes off when you go out. So there's a towel right here. So I told my wife to tell him, get that towel and just throw it in the air, and the movement will turn the light on. And he did. So he just hung on to that towel. And it's a funny story, man. You know, we laugh for still to this day. I could just mention that sensor light to him, and he would just crack up laughing because he never seen that stuff before. All right, now this is a custom bed I had made for my son and my daughter because they love Herbie the Love Bug. And I found a steel guy right around the corner from where I was. He worked with steel, round bar steel, and these are screwed in bolts in the corners here and up here and here. And I mean, this bed was sturdy. When we put the mattress there, my kids would flip over that, you know, and then they would put a blanket over there like in a tent. But I wanted to make it look like Herbie the Love Bug. So I drew it on paper and I had my wife translate, and the guy said he could do it. And sure enough, he showed up, and the very first time, this is what he brought. And it was like, wow, that's cool. And we bolted it together here, here, and here, and it was so sturdy. And we just threw a mattress on top of there. My kids loved it. Everybody loved it. The servants loved it. He's pissed off because his sister and cousin are playing on his bed. He didn't like it. There's the outside. There's a carport done. It's perfect angle. The rain could come down, hit that, come down and drain in the road. And then this guy over here, he bought the land because he heard there's a foreigner living here, and he bought the land, and he went to school in America, and he spoke really good English. He would come over and see what I'm doing, and he would copy and do the same thing in his house. Normally they would use the Indonesian brick that leaks water, and he saw that I used red brick, and he did the same thing, red brick on his, because he asked me why I chose red brick. I said, because You guys don't have cinder blocks here, so that's the next best waterproof, strongest brick is red brick. So that's why I use it. And he used it on his house. Here's the porch, already done, painted and screened in. There's the double doors with the custom-made stained glass windows. This is my wife's parents. That's what they used to sit outside. Her dad used to smoke, and they just got the doves on there and stuff. There's the finished product of my house. And then this guy, you can see he's copying me. He was going to build just a square house, and he came over. We talked for every day. We talked for hours, and he just copy what I did. And there's air conditioning unit on each room. I got an air conditioning unit. I had to build a case on it so nobody can come and steal it. It was all locked up. And there's the sensor light there and the screened in. No mosquitoes. I had a plug out here, so if I want to plug in a shop vac and clean my truck, which was another thing, I wash my truck every day, and my wife's brother was like, he's not supposed to do that. Tell him to don't wash his truck. Let the servant do it. And I was like, this is my truck, man. I'm from America. I wash my truck if I want to wash it. So I would wash my own truck because I enjoyed it. It's something for me to do. There's the picture of the doves back here that my wife finally had a wall to put it on, and she was happy because that was her mother's favorite picture. It was really, really heavy. And here's my big screen TV. There's air conditioning up there. See, I could leave the doors open, not have to run the air conditioning, because there's a breeze going from here and going through the sliding glass window door and go to the carport, not the carport, but the courtyard, and then the air would circulate. I mean, it was really nice and cool. You turn the ceiling fan on, it'd be cool during even in the hottest part of the day when it's raining. And no mosquitoes could come in at all. My house was mosquito proof. And I really loved it. There's a washer and dryer I got from Singapore. And then you can see I put the bars right here, so my son could not climb up and get in there. And then some more doves that the guy made these. He made these by hand with a hammer and hammered it out of sheet metal and stuff. And yeah, my son couldn't get in there anyway. I was laughing. I thought that was funny. There's the custom headboard I made so I don't bust my head open. There's the folding sliding door there. And that's my house that I made in Indonesia. I mean, I missed it. I had somebody the person who bought the house was actually a family friend of my wife's family, of her mother and father, and they loved the house so much that they kept asking if we ever want to sell it, let them be the first ones to buy it. And after living in that house for a year and about 3 months, after going to Manado, I told my wife, listen, I don't want to live here no more. I want to live in Manado. And I lived a couple months in her brother's house, and it just stunk so bad in his house. I mean, that's a whole nother story, and I got pictures and remodeling. I remodeled his house before I went to Manado, and because I wasn't feeling comfortable leaving my wife and kids living in his house. It had bad shape. It was in terrible shape. That I had to remodel. I took some of the money that I got from selling his house and remodel his house. It took about a month. Yeah, about a month. Just maybe a month and 3 days to remodel his house, and I'll make a video of that. But yeah, they bought this house and they love it to this day because all the property here now is sold, but this property, they tried to sell it for years and nobody ever wanted to buy it. Until people started realizing that Bule, a foreigner, had bought the property and was building a house there. And man, people would come every day, shake my hand and talk to me and want to meet me and practice their English with me. And it was just, I miss that house. I actually miss living in Indonesia. It's pretty nice. There's another view of my house. Close-up view of the screen door. And these are finished pictures with the furniture. Everything in this house is custom made. These couches are custom made. These bean bags I brought from Singapore. And the TV from Singapore. Actually, when I sold this house, we took that to my wife's brother's house and gave him the TV and the refrigerator. And it was the kitchen all done. The washer and dryer. I had to keep that covered with plastic because that's not waterproof. When it rained, they would get wet, so I had to cover that with plastic. But it's the finished house. My son. That's Wee Win, the babysitter, and the cook. She was a really good cook. my daughter's room that she never used. It's just storage. That's where the kids' clothes would be. They didn't even put them in the dresser over there. It's looking out of the bedroom out to the courtyard. Just the finished product. It's the TV my son bolted to the wall there. There's his bed. Herbie the Love Bug bed. We gave that to one of my wife's cousins. They wanted it really bad. I designed it and had it built. And that thing probably cost me $1,000 making it here in America. That bunk bed is funny. It's just a funny story. That's looking out of the servant's room to the courtyard, to the living room, to the front doors. That was mosquito and rat proof house. Servant's bathroom. I mean, everybody loved. People would hear about this bathroom that this guy made for the servants, and they would come visit me just to see this bathroom. And I carried this idea onto many other remodeling and stuff that I did in Indonesia. I did built this house, built another house, remodeled a townhouse, and remodeled her brother's house, and then moved to Manado and built a 2-story building, which is a whole nother story. My wife, that's looking at the bedroom, finally done. Looking from our bed, this is the front window here to the front porch. That's the bathroom. I had to put this wall here because if somebody came to visit and was in the living room, you open the door from the living room to come in the master bedroom, you could see me sitting on the toilet, because I didn't like to close that because I want the AC to come into the room because it would get hot there, and that's why I have that fan playing around the toilet. So I had to build this glass block wall so nobody could see me sitting on the toilet. That's the closet, master bedroom closet. And that's the finished bathroom. Custom windows. My son, he got a play cell phone. And there you have it. That's the first thing I ever built in Indonesia. That was my home that I designed and didn't speak a word of Indonesian or know the language or the money or anything. This house took 3 months to build, and in 3 months I learned a lot of Indonesian, a lot of the language, and the people who worked for me learned a lot of cuss words. To this day, I don't know if they still understand, but I don't speak as much Indonesian as I used to. By the time I left Indonesia, I could speak it pretty good. I still understand it when my wife talks to her brothers. I can understand what she's saying. This is looking out. This is you can see my Batman. I made a custom grill for my Batman here in my truck, and up here in the window tint, put a windshield strip there, and I put a Batman window tint, black and silver. And this is my truck. I love this truck. A right-hand drive. And see, I had a TV here one day, but I had a driver driving me. He scared me so bad that I kicked the freaking dash and broke the TV that was right here. It had 3 TVs in this truck, so I had to fill this in. I got some sheet metal, and I drew a Batman on it, and I punched with a nail. I punched holes. I drew the Batman and I punched holes on the outline of the Batman, and I closed this in. I painted it gloss black. I put a light under there, so whenever I would get nervous, I wouldn't have to say anything because it would distract him. I just, with my foot, there was a button, and I'd click it, this light would come on, this would light up, and you see a Batman. So whenever I clicked that, he knew he was making me nervous. And it had dual AC in this thing too. There's a TV up there. There's one up there and one up here. My kids would watch DVD movies, go buy movies at the black market and watch movies on the TV there. There's the stereo system. This was a refrigerator, 12-disc CD over here. These lights would flash when the music's playing. It's got the Chevy sign. It was like that when I bought it. I didn't do all that. I just saw it and said, this is what I want. And this was a huge freaking bass speaker right here. My kids would put chips there and go boom, boom, boom. The chips would bounce up and down right here. And this was just in a storage box. You put your CDs in there. But I love that truck. I ended up giving it to my wife's uncle. It says Isuzu. The truck says Chevy, but the motor was Isuzu, and that thing would climb anything. That's the motor right there. It had headers on it. It was a bad truck, man. I miss it. Right-hand drive is cool. It freaks you out because they drive on the wrong side of the road too. And to be on the right hand, shifting with your left hand, it took me a while to get used to that. Once I got used to it, when I came back to the States, I kept getting in the wrong side of the car. It took me like 3 months to get over that. So there you have it. There's my home that I built in Indonesia. to the people who've been sending me personal messages and asking me, you know, did you really live in Indonesia and what was it like? Well, this is what I did the first year and a half that I did in Indonesia. I learned the language, I learned how to work with these guys, and I built a bond up with these guys so much that I built many more homes and projects, and I took them to another island. They'd never been on a plane before in their life, and I took a crew of 15. I flew them 5 hours from Jakarta to the island of Sulawesi in a little city called Manado. And I'll make more videos of the projects I did. I did one right across to the right. I built a small 2-bedroom home, and we sold the property before we even finished building it. It was sold. The townhouse right across from my house, one is their brother's, and the other one's I totally remodeled. And before we even finished remodeling that, it's sold. It took a month and a half to remodel it, and it's sold. And they had been trying to sell it for years, and I finally, you know, convinced. Once my wife's brothers saw what I can do, my ideas and designs and stuff, they just said boom. They just let me start running, do this and do that and do that. They didn't ever question me after that, and to this day they still don't. But yeah, that's the beginning, what it looked like, and that's what it ended like. So I hope you liked this video and learned something about Indonesia and what I did when I was there. And I'll make more videos of other stuff that I built and remodeled. Thanks for watching, and geek, I'm going.